what's going on, Instructor Mike? Caught me off guard. All right, here we go. So we're gonna talk about the different type of locks that are out there for securing your firearm, okay? So we were talking about it in class. You got your trigger locks, cable and key locks, electronic locks, gun safes, and firearm disassembly. And there are typically many type of ways where you can secure your firearm to make sure that a person doesn't have access to that firearm. So we're gonna go through the ones that we see here. So trigger locks, these are the kind of locks that you see. Some have a key, just like so, okay? And then some are combination, okay? Key and combination. Now I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate, and I'm gonna use a replica model Glock, okay? It could be the 17 or 22. It doesn't have a really name to it, but it's an airsoft pistol. And we're gonna make sure that we follow the 3 basic safety rules. Assuming every firearm is loaded, point that firearm in a safe direction and keeping our finger off of the trigger and out of the trigger guard, okay? We wanna make sure no magazine is in the well, okay, as I see here, and that no round is in the chamber, all right? And that's not the case here. So go ahead and let the slide go forward. Press the trigger, nothing is there. We're gonna go on ahead and use this trigger lock. And I'm gonna use the one with the key because I'm gonna show you a slight flaw in this system, okay? And the trigger lock is designed to go around where? The trigger, absolutely, okay? And this one just happens to be one that is locked by a what? A key, okay? So go on ahead and hold that key right there. Now, let's go on ahead and say we're not sure of the security because after all, we don't want our kids, some of us have, let's be honest, badass kids, whatever. You know, you don't want the kids to get a hold of that, okay? A little tip say, Mom, look what I found. We don't have time for that, okay? So, here's a cable and key lock. That's the second option that we see here, okay? And with this cable and key lock, if you get your gun, which you should, from a reputable firearms manufacturer, this is one of the locking devices that would come with that gun. So, with the cable and key lock, you would typically insert the cable portion through the ejection port and it protrudes out of the magazine well. You would lock the lock. And then here's the key, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and set this key right here. This gun looks pretty secure, yeah? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Now let's try something. So, you're at home and you decided you're gonna go ahead and put this gun in a drawer. And you're at home, sleep on the big couch, right? All of a sudden someone comes inside of your house. Come on, get out. Shit. Baby, where the keys at? Can't find the keys, right? You ever been in a stressful situation where you had to go someplace and you forgot your what? Keys, trying to hurry up and rush out of the house, okay? Could you see that happening to you? Yeah. Absolutely. So think about it. That same kind of stress that you would undergo in trying to get out of the house, but you forgot your car keys, imagine trying to grab this gun where the primary mechanism for you to be able to get in is your what? Key. Okay, so my rule of thumb as it relates to cable and key and trigger lock devices, where there is a key, let it be. It's gonna be too much for you to try to get inside of this firearm when it's an emergency situation, okay? Now, one of the second or the third option that's here is the electronic lock box, okay? The electronic lock box. Now they sell a variety of different kinds. There are some that are biometric, meaning that you touch it and it allows you access to that actual firearm. But this one is a touch pad, okay? Stack On Safe happens to make them and they have various different kinds. But one thing that I like about it is touch. 1, 2, 3, you're able to gain access to it. Now that's not to state that you should keep it at 1, 2, 3. That's too easy to get into, but for demonstration purposes, that's where it's at. And in less than half of a second, you see I'm able to have access to this safe. Now, it comes with a steel cord that you can attach, if you will, to a fixed object, definitely not a chair, but for demonstration purposes. And it allows you to be able to secure not only 1, but 2 handguns for you. And bang, you got it, you know it. Okay, so let's just say you need to grab access to this firearm without looking at it. See, it works for me, and that's what happens when it doesn't work, okay? When you miss it, no, I'm glad I did that because it shows you that if you don't touch it the right way or insert the right code, it will not open, you'll see a red flash. But with this, you can feel it using the sense of touch, and there it is. Now you have access to that gun, and you're able to, wrap the slide, chamber around, and you're able to stop that threat in less than 1.5, maybe 2 seconds, okay? They also have biometric safes. Now, this kind of safe works for me because I'm a percussionist. There are 66 rudiments. You don't know which one I use and how I gain access to that, so it works for me. Maybe the touchpad may not work for you. The biometric, where you just swipe the finger across the pad that reads your fingerprints, would work. Now, it has its defaults, or it has its issues, if you will. I would suggest that you register the 8 fingers, 2 thumbs, and yes, a toe. Why do I say a toe? You could lose a hand. Wow. Make sense? As in, you do have fingerprints on your toes. It's a digit as well, okay? So just another option to consider. Now, here's the question. Does it work? Yes, it absolutely does work. In the car that I had before, somebody broke into my car, and I had nothing in the car that they could take, so they took my change and my flaming hots. I knew it was a crackhead. This is a crackhead move. I wanted those flaming hots. I'm just saying. But there was nothing for them on the inside of the car to get, so they went to the trunk to try to get the gun out, and I saw that they tried to pull the safe out because the trunk hinge was bent, but there was no gun inside, and guess what was still there? The safe. So it's a pretty good option for only like $65, $70, okay? Here's another option when you're talking about gun safes. Now, if you only own a gun, it makes no sense for you to get a gun safe, because that's a lot of space for a little gun. But if you do happen to get a gun safe, I would suggest that you avoid the combination safes. Why do I say that? Remember that time you were in high school and you forgot your combination, and Mr. Sclerowitz had to come out of the office and say, boy, this is about the 5th time I sat there and had to get you out of your doggone locker. And it's always one with the leg. Right, it's right. So it's gonna be a long time before he gets in that locker to cut it open. So imagine imagine in a real situation where you need to call a gunsmith or somebody to drill you out of that safe. It's gonna be too long, okay? You might as well just give up the game. And so for firearm disassembly, it's typically not the case that you disassemble semi-automatic pistols unless you're doing what? Cleaning them, absolutely, okay? And that's my tip on gun safes.